Hello, hello, hello. This is Emma Burford from Business Rocks, and today I'm going to be sharing a interview, chat really, that I had with Yasmin Vorajee, who's the Tiny Time coach, and that we had a great chat yesterday and recorded it, and going to be sharing that with you today. And I'd love it if you're watching the live stream now, if you can just say hi in the comments, let me know if you can see and hear me all okay. I'm just going to check that all is well inside Facebook, where I'll be streaming inside the Business Rocks Academy group, and I'm just going to have a quick look now to see if that's all coming up okay. So bear with me one moment while I just have a quick look and check that out. Okay, all looks good, and if you're inside the Business Rocks Academy today, do say hi, as I say in the comments. I'd love to take your questions. I'll be coming back online. I'm going to be writing more notes. I had pen and paper with me yesterday. It's actually difficult chatting with someone, talking and listening and making notes all at the same time. So I'm going to be running through this call with you as well, making my notes, expanding on my notes and all the great things that Yasmin shared. So I'm going to be hitting the play button in just a second, but I'm just going to make sure that everyone can see me fine first. I'm just going to have a quick look back in the group. So one last look, and then we will go and watch Yasmin and myself talking about how to run a business in 20 hours or less using Tiny Time. Lots of tips and strategies inside that Yasmin shared. So just having a look inside the Facebook group. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. It's rather glum in London. We woke up to fog. It was foggy this morning. Took my dog out for a walk across the fields, and you could hardly see in front of your nose, so it wasn't a great start, but lots of mud as well, lots of rain last night. But it's still Easter break here for us in London as well, so a lot of people I know have got their children off school. I myself, two of mine are still at home, so that's why we're starting a little bit later today. So I'm just checking now inside the group, and I think we're pretty good to go. So let me just put any mute button. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna hit the hit the play button now. So enjoy this. It's a fantastic talk, and I will be back online live here today. Hi, and we'll chat afterwards. So speak again soon. Hi, this is Emma Burford from Business Rocks, and I'm absolutely thrilled today to be sharing some space and time with Yasmin Vorajee, who is the Tiny Time for Big Results expert, and she's going to be talking to us and answering some of our questions even about how you can put your business together in less than 20 hours a week. So I know we're all keen to hear that. Time is so precious most of the time. We don't have enough of it. So Yasmin, lovely to talk with you today. Do tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business.
Yeah, absolutely, Emma. Thank you so much for having me here today, and for everybody as well watching. It's a real pleasure and privilege to be here. So I'm the Tiny Time Big Results coach and mentor. I work with small business owners, and I help them to run a profitable business in less than 20 hours a week. And really, Tiny Time Big Results came about from my own circumstances. I have 3 very small children. I always say small, I mean young. They're not like teeny. I have 3 young children. They're 7, 4, and 1. And when I started the business, I had 2 then at the time. But I really had so limited time. You know, I was literally trying to get things done in 2-3 hours. And it was only when I was working with my coach at the time, and this was about 4 years ago, and we kind of talked about what it is, because I was really struggling at the time, you know, with my marketing message, and I wasn't building enough momentum. And so she was trying to kind of draw it out of me what I was doing with my clients. And she kind of says, well, you're really good with Tiny Time, aren't you? And that's kind of where the phrase came from. And then we
It's a
played around
fantastic phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a great thing because that is so relevant, especially now, even 4 years on. It's never going to go out of date, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Because it just encapsulated. Because I was saying, like, I can help them get things done in really little pockets of time, and and then we kind of said, but just because you have limited time doesn't mean that you can't have an amazing business, and that's when the big results piece kind of came in. And, honestly, when I first started, I was all about productivity because it was all about kind of getting lots of things done and limited time. So that seemed like a natural starting position. But over the years, I've really developed and honed that message. And, and I suppose that's where I am today, where I'm talking about running a profitable business in less than 20 hours a week. Because typically I get that question of, how can I be more productive? And that's not the first place that I would start.
Wow, that's definitely one of the questions that we were going to ask you later. So, and if anyone's watching this live, obviously, or after the event in the replays, do put your questions in the comments. I'm just going to say, because Yasmin and myself will be checking back. So if you're not watching this with us right this moment, do put questions in there. We'll be definitely checking back, won't we, Yasmin, and picking those up. But sorry, I cut you off there. So you were about to say,
because I'd love to be able to kind of leave the answer in.
Okay, so one of the questions Louise asked was, what are the best activities? I'm trying to think if this is the one that's another one, system and processes that save you time. So that was a general one, a more general one. And Louisa was asking about actual activities to focus on in order to gain maximum results in a short amount of time.
Yes, absolutely.
I.e., if we're focusing on results, what are the best things to focus on and what's not so important? Excellent. And I guess 20 hours a week, I try and work in 20 hours a week too, although my children are a lot older. But, there's too many other things going on in life, being a mum and working, and you have to juggle it all, don't you? So that's like 4 hours a day. So and one of my questions is, how do you work around your 18-month-old and your two, and one at school or two at school? So I'd love to hear more.
Okay, so let's go back to that piece around, like, how can I be more productive? Because a lot of the questions that people have, I do feel like they kind of start at the wrong position, or that it's just you're kind of too far down the road. We kind of need to I'm going to do it. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Someone's trying to ring me and I forgot to put myself on Do Not Disturb. Oh dear.
Always the way.
Always the way.
So, so being more productive, that isn't where you would start when you're taking someone on who's perhaps starting, at the very beginning. So where do you start?
So what I want to know is, how do you make your money? And the reason why I ask that question is because if your business model is set up to fail, it doesn't matter how productive you are, it's never going to work for you. Because the reality is, when you have a 20-hour week business or less, like really mine is probably 10 to 15 hours because of, I literally have like a 2-hour window in the morning, and then I might do another maybe an hour later on in the day. But if I'm not setting myself up to make the money that I want, in order for me to feed said children and, keep a roof over their heads, then it doesn't matter how productive I am, I'm still not going to make the money. So when you do have tiny time, one of the things that you always want to be thinking about is, like, do I have an income cap? Like, if I'm only selling my time, then there's such a limited amount of time that I can sell. If you think about a 20-hour week, really, you're only going to be selling 10 hours of that, because as being a business owner, you've got
lots of admin,
all the other stuff to do.
Exactly.
You're not going to be selling 20 hours of your time, and so
it makes your hours very expensive then at that stage.
Extremely expensive.
If you're just doing one-on-ones.
It just doesn't work that way. So what I like to look at and focus my clients on is how to sell your value and not your time. So that's one key little nugget there. So what I see is that when somebody is thinking, okay, I have this limited time, how can I make it work for me? I typically see 4 big problems that business owners are struggling with. And this really helps to kind of focus your mind, going back to, Louisa's question as well about, like, what should I be focusing in on? So if you can identify with these 4 problems, then don't worry, I'm going to show you what the solution is as well.
I'm making notes.
Yes, right, furiously. So the first problem that I see is that a lot of businesses really struggle with this, and I struggle with this for such a long time, which is why I get really evangelical about this, is when your yeah, it's like, oh, it's like, don't do it. It's when your marketing message is vague and generic, and I'm afraid to say it, but bland.
Yeah,
Like,
so you have to get really specific.
You have to get really specific, and I think even like 10 years ago, you could talk about being the best you, a better life. And like, for me, that just, I don't know what that means. I need a message to be really punchy, really compelling, really magnetic. So the person that it's for gets it and they kind of go, oh my God, that's me. And the thing is, not everyone that you talk to is going to be your ideal client, but they could be a potential partner. They could be a potential referrer. There could be somebody who says, oh, I'm the perfect person for you.
Yeah, the connector who, puts people in touch.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you have that vague message, that when you go to a networking event and you say your marketing message and they kind of go, oh, that's nice. And they kind of go, I've lost them. You need to be remembered,
don't you, for what you do and create an impression. And, when you're starting out, can be quite a challenge if you're not really sure what you're doing and you're not sure, even perhaps you're trying different things and you haven't got it all sorted. So,
and that's the key thing, is don't be afraid of the messiness of it. Because mine's been really messy. Like, if people who followed me, they'd be like, kind of go, oh, she's changed and all the rest of it. But the reality is, I wouldn't have a business today if I hadn't kept on moving forward and keep taking steps. Even when I was really struggling, I was still like, okay, I am going to show up and I'm going to still do what I think I need to do, even with all the messiness. And so it's about embracing that, but also being very mindful of that there are certain things that you can do to make it easier for yourself. But if you think about, okay, is my marketing message specific? Is it compelling? Like yesterday, I did a Facebook Live on this topic of why a marketing one-liner is so important. Why your marketing message is so important, because the thing is, it needs to be really sticky so that someone hears it, gets it, and that's key, that again, that they can pass that on to other people, or that they might think that it's for them. So is your message like super glue, like it is so sticky it just goes boom,
or Pritt stick?
Or a day old, which I've got an example of, like a day old Post-it that has now got all the dust
fluff on it. I've got a few of those somewhere under my desk.
So if you kind of just go, oh, that's you've got a big pile of papers and that Post-it's disappeared and you're like thinking, I can't remember what these papers are for. So is it super glue, or is it just really, really rubbish supermarket glue? That, it's just no one is going to stick to it. And the difference is, and this is what I really noticed, was when I had the vague marketing message, I had people kind of go, oh, that's nice, and then just move on. And then I was at an event where we had to do like introductions to each other in little groups and everything. And the amount of people, when I was talking to somebody else, the amount of people that tapped me on my back and said, can I have your card, please? So they weren't even listening to the person.
Fantastic. No.
That for me was like such an amazing moment, because from having been through all the struggles, I could really appreciate the fact that it was now hitting the mark.
People wanted to talk to you. Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. That's
so then
great.
The second reason is when your marketing strategy is not connected and it's not joined up. So if you're sitting at your desk and you're thinking, today I'm going to do a Facebook post, tomorrow maybe I'll send a tweet out. There's no joined up thinking. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it will stick. And some of it will, and a lot of it won't. And you can't have that for your marketing strategy. And so the way I like to look at it is, what is it that you're offering? Like, what is it that your business offers? What's your core offer? You might have a variety of products and services, but all your marketing needs to be geared to that. So you almost reverse engineer it. You say, this is my products and services. Now let me reverse engineer.
So can I just ask you one question myself here? So basically, if you were working backwards from your end point of your product or whatever it may be, your service, how much time would you spend as a beginner, do you think, putting in those strategies, i.e. social media marketing and those kind of things, blog, blogging, that's another thing, because I know Louisa as well runs a very successful blog, and I'm sure that's one of the things she's thinking about as well. You know, there's all those bits. How much time do you think you'd put on the back end of it to start with?
Well, I suppose the key
Was that
thing
difficult to say?
well, when you're doing all the social media and the blogging and all those things, what you're looking to do is to find your audience, you know, find the people that are hungry for your message. So for me, doing something like a blog or social media marketing, that's just part of your everyday business. But if you create a structure around it, so to give you an example, like what I do every week is I create a video, like, so I use Zoom, and I'll, you know, create a blog post on whatever topic it might be. But then I repurpose that blog. So I use it as a video on my YouTube. I download the MP3 and that becomes my podcast. And then I transcribe it so that I have a written blog. Now I do this probably 80% of the time. But you know, what I then have is, you know, if someone comes onto my website, they can literally gorge on the, you know, all the blog posts. Like my blog posts go back to 2013. So you've got a stack of content there.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like,
so you're repurposing that content in your marketing strategy as well, I presume, and like reusing some of it, or
reusing some of it where it fits, because my message has changed so much. But I didn't want to just abandon it all.
No,
I just thought, you know what, I'm going to keep it there, so to show people that I've been around for a while. But it doesn't have to take a huge amount of time. So like that one blog, like I don't do my blog posts, or because my brand is Tiny Time, I know that my client has Tiny Time, or my tribe has Tiny Time.
So they're short.
So mine are like less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So if I record one and then that's that done, and then I send the video off to rev.com to be transcribed. Yeah. So all of that doesn't actually take a huge amount of time. It might probably take an hour at the very
So that's what I was thinking of. Say for the average, well, you said maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. For a beginner, maybe they've got, you know, 3 or 4 hours a day. They're probably looking at an hour or two of that, just working on the strategy and the content side of it. And then...
Yeah, I don't like to get, especially for a beginner. Like for me, get out there and start talking to people.
Yeah.
You know, get out and get clients. That's the big mistake that I see a lot of people trying to do, is trying to create this big, you know, amazing website. And honestly, to get clients, all it takes is a really compelling marketing message, a really strong offer, a conversation, and a connection with somebody. You know, and, you know, for me, one of the things that I'm doing right now that's working really well is, you know, going to events, meeting people, building relationships. That's working really well for me. And for a long time, I wasn't able to do that because, like, my baby's only 18 months. So going to events, you know, I'm still breastfeeding. So going to events, you know, when he was younger was really hard to do, because you know, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna baby and all that kind of stuff. And so you do what works for you. So for me, then the blog became a really useful vehicle,
communication tool. Yeah, when you weren't able to get out and be and when I can't. And
the reality is, like, I've got clients from all over the world, so there's no amount of events are going to help me to meet the people in Australia that are going to buy my product. But what I do is webinars, you know, so I do a monthly webinar where someone can get, you know, online with me, just like this, and I can share my content, and then, you know, that starts a relationship. So there are loads of ways that you can leverage your time, but it's really important to think about, you know, do you have that marketing message? You know, what's your marketing strategy? And a marketing strategy could just be that, you know, you're going to, you know, pick 2 things that you're going to do from a marketing perspective. One could be offline, one could be online. You know, so there's so many examples. You could be doing speaking engagements, you could be going to networking, you know, online, you could be doing webinars, you could be doing Facebook Lives. There's lots of different things that you could be doing. And the problem is,
but
that
not to spread yourself too thin.
Exactly.
We've all done that.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, God,
unless you've got a massive team, it's impossible.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, like, oh, I should be doing Snapchat, I should be on Insta, and I should be doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, no. You know, even, you know, so if you've been in business for a while, look back and think, where have you gotten results before? You know, where have you gotten clients before? Go and do more of those. Because there's 2 words that I use. And I suppose, again, I get evangelical about this, you know, simplify your business so that you're not trying to do too much. And this is where the business model piece comes into it. You know, it's really about simplifying what you're selling, what you're, actually doing for clients, and then amplify what works. Just do more of that. Stop trying to do everything.
Talk about what's working. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, just keep doing what's working and get really good at that. So if you're really great at Facebook and everyone's saying, oh, you need to be on LinkedIn, and you're like, well, actually Facebook is working really well for me, get even better at Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that's the problem, is when you have tiny time, you can't dilute your focus, because everything becomes diluted then. And then, you find that you're losing that momentum. And, I know at the end of this webinar that, you've got that option for people to be able to, if they want to find out more, that I have a free video series on 5 steps to attract and convert clients in less than 20 hours a week. And that really does talk a lot about the marketing piece, and how to really kind of get those clients coming in, but it doesn't take up a huge amount of your time. And when we get to this, I'll kind of go through the 5 steps briefly so that people get a sense of it.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. And we've got a link for everyone to go and sign up for the freebie and get those 5 videos, which I will definitely be looking at.
It just goes into more depth, I know, because there's only so much that we can cover on a webinar, but this gives you the little pieces, and then you can go, okay, so how does this work in my business? So they're the first 2 problems. I know we've always talked about 2 problems so far. The third
I've got about 5, but I've got the main ones. Number 3
is when you have time-thirsty products and services. So when it just takes up too much of your time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, is don't sell time, sell the value. People want a result. They don't want to know that, we're going to be doing weekly calls for the rest of your life. And they'll be like, if you can help someone get a result really quickly, charge them for the result. Don't charge them for your time. And this is a mindset that I still kind of struggle with every so often myself, because I'll be like, okay, but I want to make sure that I give really great value, but actually the person is really interested in the result.
Yeah.
So if you're a weight loss coach,
they want to know what's in it for them and how you can take them to that point. So that's all they're interested in.
This is where I am. This is where I want to be. I don't really, it's a bit like, when they talk about the plane journey. I don't really care what the seats are like, and I don't care what refreshments I'm going to get and all the rest of it. Yeah, I might be a little bit interested to know if I have to pay for it if I'm on Ryanair. But, they're not too fussed about that. They just want to know what the destination looks like. They just want to know what that is going to be like. So if I'm talking to somebody and they're saying, God, my marketing strategy is all over the place, or I am burnt out from doing one-on-one work and I really want to have, an online program so I can leverage my time. What I'm talking about is, okay, so what would it look like if in 12 months time you have this amazing online program, you have 10, 15, 100 people on that program, you run it twice a year, you're making this much money, but it's not actually taking up a huge amount of your time. What does that feel like? What does that look like? So that they get really excited and enthusiastic about that end result. Not, oh, right, okay, so then she's, Yasmin's going to put me here. And, they don't...
And not everybody likes to get into the nitty gritty, or, they don't want to know how all the little bits fall into place there and then. So that makes sense, definitely.
Yeah, just keep talking about the destination, so, I would love to lose that, half stone, after having the babies, and you're like saying, well, so instead of thinking about, okay, you're going to have to stop eating sugar, you're going to have to stop eating this, and you're going to have to do this, you just think, how great is it going to feel when you get those jeans on and they just, zip up really easy.
They've never zipped up for me, but anyhow.
But
that's another story.
If someone gets a smile on their face, you know that they're tuning into that, and that's where the emotion's coming from, so that's really powerful. So think about it from your business, the people that are watching, like, do you have programs, products, services that are really time thirsty? Are you selling your time? If you have tiny time, that is just not sustainable. So you need to be thinking about how you can leverage that more.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the fourth challenge that I see people struggling with is their time management, their organization, really knowing, kind of what to automate, what to systemize, what processes that they need, things like standard operating procedures. So if it's just you in the business, we kind of go, oh, everything's in my head, so everything's fine. But if you hire a VA to help you, And then you give out about the fact that, they don't do it the way I want it to be done. Well,
yeah, you have to have a process and have it all listed out, and
yeah, exactly.
And that takes time, but in the long run, that's time well spent, because you can just pass things over easily, can't you? So I know there were some more questions, just general ones on processes. So that's, something that people struggle with, because not everybody is systematic, or, we've got all different types of characters of people in business, and entrepreneurs, we're all quite different. And I know for me, I like to take on new things, and sometimes I have to rein that back a bit, because I've got to kind of do the boring bits, and it's a challenge. So,
and I suppose it's the whole concept of leverage, really, in a nutshell. Do it once and then benefit from it over and over again. So yes, it might be painful to do a standard operating procedure for, a process in your business.
Yeah,
once you've done it,
blog up. Yeah.
Once it's done, it's there. Once you've created an online course, it's there. So there's always a little bit of pain and a little bit, well, I wouldn't even say pain, it's just the effort that's involved. But once you've done it.
And I think also, saying about creating courses, not everybody wants to create courses. So obviously it might be a service or one-to-one type of thing. It is finding out at the start, if you can, what suits you, what you like. And I guess that's where you can come in, because you would recognise what people like, what they may be better at doing. Because I think there's this whole thing of, oh yes, you've got to do a blog post, you've got to run videos, we touched on it before, you've got to do all these things, when in fact that may not suit you. You might be the wrong personality who could never sit in front of a camera like we are. We're quite confident. I'm not saying it's not a natural thing for anybody really, but some people are better at it than others, and that if that's the style, then you don't do your Facebook lives, do you? You just go and concentrate on writing something. So
exactly. We're all different, and it's about knowing where you shine and what you really want to do. So I have a client at the moment who I'm working with, and she's creating an online program. And it was interesting because we'd done some work last year on this, and then she just stopped dead in tracks, and she just didn't do it. And I kept kind of going, well, what's going on? And she was saying, she said,
overwhelmed?
Yeah, the mechanics just completely overwhelmed her.
And so if you're not techie, it's like,
exactly. Like, she said, you said about creating a sales page, and I don't know what that, and I said, but that's fine. We can create a solution for that. I have a huge network of people that I'm connected to. So I can, we can find a person to do the sales page for you. We can find someone to do the Zoom bits and the mechanics and all those types of things. Because then, having taken that off her, because we've said that we'll co-create a solution, she's now thinking, oh, I can do what I'm really good at now.
Yeah, and focus on that.
Essential, because
and that's very freeing, because suddenly you feel like you haven't got this ball and chain pulling you down, so you can move on with your business and the time that you've got, rather than feeling completely stuck and overwhelmed.
We're not meant to do
so many people feel like that. No,
yeah, absolutely.
We're not superwomen, really.
Yeah, exactly. I worked in corporate for 12 years, and if there was a technology problem, I rang technology. If there was a finance problem, I rang finance. Now, as a small business owner, you are finance, you are technology, but that doesn't mean that we should be doing everything. When you start out, yes, there is that element, but then you need to start thinking about, okay, I need a team. And again, it doesn't have to be that you're hiring them, as an employee, you outsource, you contract out to different people. And there'll be someone who'll be like, oh my God, I love creating sales pages, and give me a sales page and I'll have it up in half an hour. Somebody else could take 10 hours. And it becomes that question about, well, what's your hourly rate when you work it out? And what's the hourly rate of that person that you're going to outsource to? And is this a good use of your time? And 100% of the time, it's not a good use of your time. So they're really important things to think about. So it's very much around systems and processes and, creating a structure around things like your marketing. So, that every week you're going to be creating, content, whether that's a video or whatever, but you're creating a process. And again, this doesn't happen overnight, but what you're working towards is having that vision of, okay, so I know that in my business, if I was planning 2019, kind of like thinking, way ahead, but like I'd say, okay, I know what campaigns I'm going to be running next year. Or I know that this is what my content's going to be for next year. Imagine, you could just say, well, work in 6-month bursts. It doesn't have to be that, you're only, I think most business owners tend to work like in, what am I going to do this week? well, let's just think a little bit further ahead and say, well, what's the next 90 days?
Yeah, I was going to say my coach is a 90-day guy, and and works on a sprint basis as well, and we do all that. So I think that is really important to have some long-term things throughout the year and plan a little bit. Not so easy when you're just starting out, because you might have no idea, but when you've got someone like yourself, you can actually sit through and plan it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then break it down into baby steps, which is what I do every week. I have, tasks and everyone has a different system, whether they're using Trello boards because they like a visual or whatever they're using. It definitely helps, even if it's just pen and paper, which I tend not to do.
And I hate writing. I'm a pen and paper girl all the way.
So you either you are or you're not, and I'm not so good on pen and paper, but give me a keyboard and my Plutio and I'm off, so.
But it also curbs the impatience streak in people, because that's one thing that will kill your business very, very quickly, is that impatient streak, and so when you plan out the next 90 days, it stops you from taking or making decisions that could actually impact you, so it's like so when I talk, so for example, if I'm helping someone create an online program and they say, right, okay, so once we've created it, we'll just put it out there. I said, well, you actually want to have like a warm up process, to kind of get your audience warmed up, essentially. I said, but if you are the impatient type, and I am a very impatient person. So
I can be a little bit like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you say, okay, so this, so for example, if I was going to launch a program in 4 weeks time, I'd say, okay, so 2 weeks before it, I'm going to, release this bit of content and then release another bit of content, so that, there's a process to it, so that by the time, if someone has, say for it's a video series and they've watched video 1 and video 2 and video 3 and they've loved the content, by the time that you promote your program, they're a lot more predisposed to it.
Yeah, you've warmed them up. They've either watched all of it avidly and they're ready for more, or they've gone off. And if they've gone off, that doesn't matter, because they weren't the right people for you. And going on launches and things, I agree, because I know last year when I started with this new coach last May, and I was like, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that. And he's like, whoa, it takes so much more time than you think, you think, oh, I can do that. And that's me having quite a good handle on a lot of systems and processes and set up them. But so I think it does take time. You need to, probably at least double or triple the amount of time you think it's going to take to do something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It prevents premature presentation.
Yeah, and you need to feel good about something, and you want whatever you do to make you feel good. So if you set yourself too high expectations, not going to work.
It just doesn't work.
No.
So planning things out, even though it might feel, really awkward and strange and uncomfortable for people, it's really valuable to do. And, it helps you in your business, because you're not here. You're not a fly by night. You are, you're hoping to be here for a long time. You want your business to be sustainable, so you need to make it run in a sustainable fashion as well, so you don't burn out and you don't freak out and you think, and then just want to go and hide under a duvet somewhere.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? No.
So those 4 big problems, like what I see then is the way to get around it is there's 4 simple pillars to having, attracting clients and converting them in less than 20 hours a week. First thing is your message, and this is really, really important. It's about, your marketing message. What's the problem that you're solving? Who are you solving it for? Why should they choose you? Also thinks about, gets you thinking about your why. I always talk about my why. It's like my children, my family, my quality of life. Like I often say that, if you think I'm about business growth, you're mistaken. What I stand for is family, flexibility, and freedom, so that families can enjoy their lives together. They can spend time with each other. And for me, that's really important, especially as I see my kids getting bigger. And I was like thinking, just as they get bigger, just because they don't need you as much as in the early days, they still need you so much for all the stages of life, emotionally. The
goalposts change. So I can tell you, from a mum of a 19-year-old, a nearly 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, they do just change. So, although they go to school, you have other demands and things that you have to deal with. So, if you're a parent and you're working, there's always going to be time needed for your family. So
And that for me is such a huge part of my values, that it's about being there and And again, like, yes, they'll probably won't need me as much, but I don't want to be working all the time either. I want to have a quality of life. I want to go traveling with my husband. And we want to go and do different things. And so for me, it's really about making the business work. I don't buy to the whole, 24 hustle and, like you got to be working all the time. That's just not me. So we got to make it work for you. So, kind of tapping into your why is so important. So that's your message. The second pillar then is very much around attraction. So how you actually attract your clients. So, going back to what we talked about, the marketing strategy, the marketing methods. So which ones are you going to be doing? Your marketing content, your calendar. So having some kind of a marketing calendar so you know what you're going to be doing, when you're going to be doing it. Again, the more organized you can be, or as organized as you can be, because some people aren't naturally that way.
Yeah. But that's where someone like yourself as a coach is going to come in and say, right, this is what we're going to do, and set it up and help you, hold your hand, basically, isn't it? And follow through with those bits. And that's why you need someone to kind of push you along, because otherwise we don't do them. And then what happens when we don't do things? Nothing.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. And that's the thing, because once you've set it up, then you do need that support and accountability and implementation to make sure that you're following through, that you're not then looking at that going, oh, that's not going to work, and just, throw a launch in there because you're getting impatient about something. You need, and I think that we all need someone like that. Like I have a coach who also keeps me reined in, because I'll be the one going, oh, I could just do it in a week. And they'll be like, it's not going to take a week. It's going to take much longer. And I'll be like, I can do it, and you just need someone to take you, like,
yeah.
Yasmin.
My coach gets us to do a kind of a test thing. I've done a few different ones, but basically it's a Colby test, and I came out as a high quick start. And you've got like people that are high fact finders, and fact finders are the ones that like to read everything. And but you sound like you're more like me. I think, Yasmin, you're probably a bit of a quick start. You're just like, yes, I can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Like it's funny, because one of the things that I teach in my Tiny Time Business School program is about how to get things done quickly. So I kind of like to simplify things. So if someone wants to set up, a new marketing campaign, like a lead magnet, and then a series of emails, like I want to show them how to do that quickly. So now I can set up a lead page in about 10 minutes. I can create an email, automated sequence. Give me a guts of an hour or two. I'll have it all up and running and live. And that I know is not easy for a lot of people, but I like to simplify and break it down, so that people can say, oh, okay, I can do that. Here's your magnet, here's your opt-in page, here's your thank you page, and this is your sequence of emails. And they go, is that all I need? Yeah, that's it. And then just go live with it. Yeah. And it's making it, and I think that sometimes when we're overwhelmed, we think that there's so much to do.
Yeah. So simplifying it into simple steps that people don't have all the noise around it, so they can just see what they need to do.
Yeah, step 1, step 2, step 3, tick, tick, tick. Yes, done.
Yeah, perfect.
So with the attraction piece, and this is what the video series, I know I'm talking quite fast, but the video series does go into this a little bit more. The attraction piece is very much what I call the bird seed, so your lead magnet, so how you attract the birds to come to you, rather than, if you go into the park, you're not going to be that crazy person that's chasing after the birds. And, well, my son does that, but he's 7, he's loud. You don't want if you try and chase after a bird, they're going to run away. Whereas if you put out bird seed, they're going to come to you. So think of your lead magnet in that way. Then think about what short-term nurture you're going to do. So as soon as they've taken your lead magnet, how are you going to nurture them in the first 5 to 10 days? Then look at your long-term nurture. So that could just be a weekly newsletter. That could just be your blog post that you send.
Yeah.
And then think about what your call to action is. What's the next step? You always need to be telling people what the next step is. Book a strategy session, check out this, or, whatever it might, listen to my podcast, whatever it might be. You always want to give them the next step.
Yeah.
Then the third pillar is something that I think a lot of people, they try and avoid, or they don't really realize how important it is. And this is the conversion piece, mastering your conversion tool. So how do you turn someone from a prospect to a paying client? So for most business owners, it's going to be the sales conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And The sales conversation is one of those things that has the ability to strike fear in the hearts of business owners because they don't want to sell. They don't want to come across as being pushy or manipulative and salesy. You know, I heard a terrible story this week about someone who is doing sales in a really pushy way. And I was like, oh my God, if I had that person on the phone, I'd just be like, please go away. Stop calling me.
Yeah. Click.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think, and the story was very much around, you know, they won't take no for an answer. And then they're making that person wrong for saying no. You know, these are all the reasons why you're wrong to say no to this offer. But that's not sales. You know, sales is essentially, you know, getting to know someone.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the relationship you build, and the sales starts before you even get to like a conversation, doesn't it? Really, it's how you portray yourself and what you say, and you know, people are watching, so you know they'll be watching this. Do they like us? Hopefully, but you know, it is so important to get all the little bits right to start with, and before you even get to that conversation.
Absolutely, because like, you know, before you have a sales conversation,
conversion.
But I have a piece around what to do once someone's booked in a call with me. I then want to do something before they've even got onto a call with me. So again, to kind of continue that pre-selling process. You know, what's the conversation like? What's the follow-up like? Because a lot of people really hate the follow-up piece. Like, oh, I don't want to have to keep bothering them. And, you know, but if you don't master the conversion tool, you know, you're going to be struggling because you're going to get loads of people in your attraction piece. But you're going to be like, I'm not getting actually any paying clients. So knowing how to really convert, do it really well. So one-on-one sales conversations is, you know, most businesses need to do that. Even the ones that you think are amazing. You know, some people still need that one-on-one contact.
They definitely do. And I know this is taking me back 20 odd years. You know, I worked in the travel industry and I worked in sales for many, many years, sales and marketing. And it isn't something you just know. Now there are more confident people who are born salespeople, but you still need to learn that process. You still need the training, and heaps of training, you know, telephone sales, but even when it's something like a holiday, people do not necessarily buy it. They're buying you, they're buying the whole package. And I don't mean the travel package, you know, so it is, you know, the follow up, you know, people aren't quite ready to part with their money. They're still thinking about what that holiday, you know, is that the right one? So yeah, it was all about follow up and buying you. And, you know, it wasn't just jumping on a call and they're going to book or picking up that call and they book. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's that, I don't know whether you've ever come across this, Emma, that, you know, when they say, like, you know, you want to get a decision on that call on that day. And that doesn't feel right to me because I know what I'm like. I'm a reflector. I like to think about things. So if someone does say, you know, I need to think about this, you know, there are things that you can say and do to help them in that process. But I also, you know, want to respect that person. So, you know, it's about, you know, saying, well, okay, how long would you like to think about it? And booking the follow-up.
Follow-up, yeah.
Exactly. So not just leaving it open-ended, but actually saying, well, why don't we chat on Friday, and you can let me know what you're thinking at that stage. You know, because, and this has happened to me so many times, is where when somebody has said no, it's a no, not right now, and then they come back a month later, 3 months later, a year later, now they're ready. But if I had gone and been really pushy at that stage and said, well, you know, I think this is a terrible decision that you're making, or making them wrong for, you know, deciding not to go ahead.
Yeah, you're making them feel bad. That's definitely going to put them off.
I was like, I don't like to hang around with people that make me feel bad. It's funny, you know, it's a little foible that I have, you know, but they'll come back because you've built trust. You know, and I suppose this is the thing that you can't make it be about the money. You can't make that person feel the pressure. Like, you know, we've all been there where you think, I really need this client. You know, I've got these bills to pay. I need this client. But the reality is that your prosperity, your abundance does not come from them. They are merely the conduit. They are merely the vehicle. It may not be that, it might not be that person. It might be somebody completely different. Like, I believe that our prosperity and our abundance comes from the divine. And so the divine has plenty of different ways to get that abundance to me, but I need to be reminded of myself that, and to stop putting the pressure on this particular client, because it's not fair on them.
Yeah, because then you're blocking the energy. So,
exactly. Yeah. And I've had that where somebody has said no, and you think, crap, Oh God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then somebody comes way out.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go,
I think you just have to be open to everything and not feel so, trapped into, I've got to get that person, like you say. And
I think it's about, when somebody has said no, it's about keeping your energy and your vibration at a high level.
Yeah.
So, you kind of just get, okay, because when you get down and you're like, oh,
you need to accept things and move on.
Yeah, exactly. When you're kind of getting all down and depressed and really hating the, kind of like the, oh God, this is never going to work. And you go into that kind of
negativity.
Negativity. Then that other person that was kind of skirting around, they won't be able to come in because your energy is not at the right level.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important as well. And then that was message, convert.
Yeah.
And then the fourth piece, which is really essential for a tiny time business, is leverage. So leveraging your offers, building in that or creating a value full package, so I love creating high-end programs. I love creating online programs because these are leveraged ways of making really great money, delivering really amazing work and working with great clients. Like that for me is so important. But yes, I want to have a profitable business, but I want to do the work that I'm here to do. I want to make sure that my clients are completely delighted from working with me because they got so much out of it. And so you've got to think about your products and your services and really build that leverage in. Think about your time. So some of the things that we've talked about around systems and processes, how are you building that in? And then your mindset, just similar to kind of tying into what we were talking about just now about your energy and, having a certain set of beliefs about your business. Like one of the things that I remember a mentor said to me, and it just made so much sense, and it was like the heavens parted and, the sunshine came streaming in, was when I was really struggling. And she said to me, you are not your business. And I was completely attaching my self-worth to my business. And because my business was not doing well, that meant that I was a terrible person.
Yeah, not to be personal with it, because that's not going to work either, is it?
Well, it's like you're not letting it be a reflection of you. You kind of, if you look at yourself and you say like, I'm this amazing person anyway, with or without a business, with or without a family, with or, without all the things that we think that we need to have that determine us. Well, I'm everything already right now. Yeah. I don't need to be anything else. So I don't need to be sitting there going, oh, well, when I lose 10 pounds or when I have longer hair or whatever it might be, whatever the, kind of crazy reasons that we kind of come up with as to when we're going to feel better about ourselves, when I have the bigger house or when I have a
better car,
flashy car.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you think I am perfect and
it's the materialistic things, isn't it, that we're all unfortunately rather it's too much in our face a lot of the time. So it's not important really. It's how we feel about us as a person. And
and that's why
if you feel good about you, then that's going to reflect in your business.
Yeah, and I get turned off a lot by, oh, I made 10K this month, I'll show you how. And, I made 100K in 6 seconds. And you're like, because the reality is somebody might not want to make that much money.
No, yeah.
Somebody is probably thinking, well, my number's 3K a month. And they feel bad then because they're not dreaming big enough and they're not, and they're like, well, this is a really good number for me. Well, that's your number. Own it, and, sometimes when you see people kind of making 20K or 30K and they're like, you're thinking, and then the next month they're like, okay, I'm targeted myself. And you're like, oh my God, the pressure.
But some people work like that. So, it is, how you are, I guess. So.
And it's got to feel right for you. But I think it's about owning your number. Yeah. What do you want to do?
And if you're starting out in a small business, it might be a goal of just earning $50, so it's just, it's just those steps as you progress, as long as you're happy with it. I think that's mostly important to, it should be for most people.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago and somebody asked me what my annual goal was and I said what my number was and they went, really, is that it? And it just, deflated me because I was like, oh, but actually that was my number. And, it's like if I had stood in my power and my strength and kind of, that's my number, you've no right to come and tell me that that's not big enough, because it was like, it was really dismissive and it really threw me. And, in that stage of my journey, it actually really held me back. you know. And so I think it's so important that business, you know, it is intense personal development. You know, you will be putting yourself in positions where you're not comfortable, like in a sales conversation or like doing a Facebook Live. But, you know, doing a simple thing like a Facebook Live, and I love doing Facebook Lives. I did one yesterday when I was making my chicken soup. So I just love doing Facebook Lives. But I did a Facebook Live a couple of months ago, and within a day of doing that 6-minute Facebook Live, I'd made $2,000.
Yes, and I remember reading about that. Tell us how that happened. So you were on the Facebook Live, talking about a specific topic probably, or making more chicken soup. How did you convert that Facebook Live to some real money?
Well, the key thing here is that Facebook, it wasn't just the Facebook Live. Yeah. Because I'd already had been nurturing
them up.
this relationship. And this person had been following me for a while. And that particular Facebook Live was all about implementation. And I remember very specifically that it was about implementation, that people pay for implementation, not for information. And it struck a chord with that person. And she sent me a message and she said, I need to talk to you. We had a conversation. She got booked onto my program. And that's when the money came in.
So it's just things aligned. It was the right time. But if you hadn't have shown up and hadn't have had that conversation with yourself on a live, it wouldn't have happened, would it? So that's how important it is to just take a plunge and take those steps and go and do things and create things.
And it goes back to what we've talked about. The clear marketing message. She knew what she knows what I'm about. You know, it's having that attraction strategy so that I've got, I'm doing my marketing, having a really compelling offer, so all of those things fit into place. We're not going to have I didn't have all of these things in place immediately, or like all at, the beginning.
Absolutely. No, it takes time.
It takes time. But here's the thing, and I know we've probably gone massively over time, but here's the thing. If you keep taking little steps every single day, and in our case, if you take little tiny time steps every single day, you will get there. It's about having that sense of mission. It's about feeling really passionate about what you're doing, and it's about having resilience. It's about knowing that, I may, as I went to a networking event and I did a speaking gig there, and, there was nobody in that room that actually was going to convert, into a client, because it was a small gig and, I chatted with a few people and stuff. But on the way home from that gig, I got a sales call booked in, and that became a paying client from somebody in the UK. Mm-hmm. And the reason I share that example is it's about the energy. I did that speaking engagement. My energy levels were high because I was on a high. I love doing my speaking gigs, and, I was, chatting about all of this that I'm sharing now. And so sometimes you think it's the people in front of you, but energy works in a really cool way. It just goes off in different directions, and then it just creates these miraculous events. Mm-hmm. But none of that is possible if you don't show up and do the work and keep showing up.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic, isn't it? So I love it. I could sit here all day, actually. I think we could talk about it a lot, because we love talking about it. We're both passionate about building businesses and helping people. I think that's the main ingredients, really, isn't it? In a successful business, is feeling that you are helping people and that they love what you do. So I love what you do, Yasmin. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I can't wait to get this downloaded, and we'll be uploading it to YouTube and also adding it to Facebook Live tomorrow. Via eCam, where you can run a video, and I'll be on the chat. And I know you're off tomorrow, but from there on, if there are any questions that people have, please do pop them in the comments, either on YouTube or on the Facebook Live on the page,
and tag me where possible.
So tag me, exactly. Yeah. Tag Yasmin, and if she doesn't see it, I'll give her a little nudge, exactly. A little message. If there's anything specific, I know we've got a special link, because as you mentioned at the beginning, and we mentioned earlier, you've got 5 video series. Remind me of the title again, Yasmin.
So it's 5 steps to attract and convert clients in less than 20 hours a week. So what I was talking about with, the bird seed and the short term and the long term and conversion. If you get the free video series, it's just like 5-6 minute video each day for 5 days. And so it goes into a little bit more depth and helps you to understand what that looks like and how that could work for you in your business as well.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I've got a link which I will pop under the videos, but for anyone listening now, it's bizrocks.me/YV. So we will get that added to the videos, and obviously we'll mail it out as well for people that are on my mailing list. And it's been a pleasure, as I say, talking to you, Yasmin, and I hope in the probably about an hour we've spent now, it's been really useful for people, and we've covered some of the questions, and we'll be around to answer any more. So
are there any other questions that you wanted me to answer, Emma, before?
I'm just having a look through. We've got Louisa's, well, she was talking about focusing on results. So if we talk about that, she's asked about what are the best things to focus on now. Louisa has a fashion styling blog and business. So she has a membership site, and she's got a long way through on her. She also does consultations as well. So, she's quite established is what I'm trying to say. So for a more established business owner who still wants to get better results, if we generalize it a little bit, what would you suggest? Where would you point someone at that stage of their business if they feel that they've got quite a lot going on, but it's not quite lining up, they haven't got all their ducks in a line?
Okay, so the key thing here is getting really clear on what does better results look like for you. Like, is it that you want to be making more money? Is it that you want to be attracting more clients into your membership site? What is that result? If you really break it down into the nuts and bolts, and then look at, well, what has worked for you in that arena already? How can you amplify those results? So for example, if she's got this amazing blog, like how could she amplify the results of her blog? Like how can she drive more traffic to that? Is there possibilities for doing guest posting on somebody else's blog? Like what can she do that she's already been doing, but she could amplify more of it? But I think it goes back to that
generate more people, more traffic.
Yeah, it's that key question. What does better results look like for you first?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to have more consultations and you want more high-end clients, then, well, what does that look like? Do you have a clear marketing strategy? So, if you've got, say, for example, you did a free video on, I don't know, like top 10 trends.
Colours for clothing, yeah.
Yeah, or, this is what you need in your capsule wardrobe or something like that. Do you have a very clear call to action for people to book a session with you? Which then allows you to be able to sell your high-end package to them, whatever that looks like. So get really clear on what that end result looks like first, and then think, okay, so how could I break that up, and how could I do that for myself? But get really clear on what that is. So then, because better results, it's like that could mean a lot of things.
Fantastic. Sorry about the dog. I don't know if you heard him barking, but
okay.
The dog's back. Okay, so that's fantastic. I will, as I say, get this loaded up. I think the dog might be going crazy in a minute, so we better wrap up for sure for now. But thank you once again. As I say, go to bizrocks.me/YV, pick up that fantastic 5-step video sequence from Yasmin, and any questions, pop them in the comments. And I'll let you sign off, Yasmin.
All right. Thanks so much, Emma. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, wow. So that was one jam-packed call with Yasmin Vorajee. I'm back live here on camera, so I hope you really enjoyed watching that. And do feel free to pop any questions you may have in the comments, whether you're seeing it inside the Business Rocks Academy or on one of the 2 pages that I've shared it with. I'd love to answer them either now or pop back later, and Yasmin will be popping in later as well to check if there are any further questions for her. So a great session with Yasmin, so much to share, and do pick up her freebie, which is her 5 steps video series, and that's on the link. I've popped it in the comments below the video, so if you didn't catch it a few moments ago, you should be able to catch it and click on that link and pick it up. And if you're watching on the Business Rocks page or the Mum's Business Directory page, and you're not inside the Business Rocks Academy, do come and join us over on the inside the Facebook group. It's a free group, part of the Academy site. So go and find us there. I'll pop the link below if you want to come and join us. And next month I will be going live and sharing lots of tips and the latest things happening on Facebook. I know there's been lots this month, so could probably do another session just on those, but I will be sharing some more tips and tricks next month. The next call inside the Business Rocks Academy is the 9th of May. It's usually the second Wednesday of the month that I go live, either on screen on my own or with other niche experts like today. So I hope you enjoyed the call, and have a fantastic morning, possibly for some of you, afternoon or evening if you're in fact very late evening if you're in Australia. So and I will catch up with you again soon. So thanks for watching, and Emma Burford, I'm signing out. Bye bye.